It was obvious that following Georgia's example in one-side orientation to the west and ignoring the Russian interest in the region will inevitably lead to confrontation with Russia. Since Georgia is now out of play for a relatively long time, and the revision of its significance for the external actors has already begun, Azerbaijan can occupy Georgian position if Baku made a slight democratic transformations. The future trends of the search for new routes for energy supplies from the Caspian region may require from Azerbaijan substantial flexibility in building its relations with Russia and Iran, as well with Kazakhstan and Central Asian states. So in this qualitatively new 5-day war situation, Azerbaijan will continue its balanced policy between Russia and the United States and demonstrate its adherence to Western values for extension consumption, conducting a somewhat complementary policy aimed at understanding and revising guarantees from the international community both on ensuring security for the pipeline's operation and in issue the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. So, of course, the problem of settlement of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict is the key issue for Azerbaijan. Currently, there are some clear parallels with the situation in Georgia on the eve of August 2008 war. It's this distorted perception of the very essence of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict leads to destructive behavior of the Azerbaijani leadership, who have blamed the Minsk OSCE group for the alleged ineffectiveness of its mediation efforts, trying reformatting the negotiation process and making statements about the readiness to reinstate the territorial integrity of the country by force in case if negotiations fail. There is a very clear attempt to create a so-called government in exile from the representatives of Azerbaijani community of the Nagorno-Karabakh and to include its representatives into the negotiation process on the status of the de facto state to balance the elected authorities of Nagorno-Karabakh. This step should be considered as provocative and non-effective. However, in contrast with Georgia, Azerbaijan always stressed that any military action in the area of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict aimed to the restoration of Azerbaijani territorial integrity would be implemented solely by Azerbaijani forces, in spite of it would be heavy burden for both the economy and society of this country. I would like, may I ask you the next slide. This is quotation from one of the last speeches of President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. He made this speech during the celebration of the Army's Day, and made some references mentioning that during the last 5 years, Azerbaijan spent for military equipment, training, etc., more than $6.5 billion. The military budget of Azerbaijan for this year is $2 billion. Analysis of the situation in the area of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict allows supposing a high degree of probability that Azerbaijan will restart military actions in the medium-term perspective. In addition to the distorted identification of the conflict, there is also a cultivation of enemy image of Armenians in the Azerbaijani society. In addition, the highest leadership of the country permanently threatened that force will be used by means to solve the conflict. Let me mention also the following. Our center, during these last 2 years, had a research project named Enemy Image, the case of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. So having partners in Azerbaijan, we tried to assess the level of readiness or preparedness to societies to cooperate or discuss or to live with each other. The results were very, very contradictory and horrible from my point of view, because Armenians are ready for any type of cooperation. And I just give you a few examples. So in Azerbaijan, the people who made this poll, in 3 districts, they were hardly beaten. And there was no results from that very districts. So, pardon?
Could you repeat this last question?
So the people, the persons who made polling in Azerbaijan, in 3 districts, they were beaten.
These were Azeri
Yes,
people doing...
yes. So you can just see that how tension is situation in that very region. And I gave you these figures related to the military budget. And there is real preparation to war, which is, well, we try to do everything to avoid it, but it's really hard. So, I suppose that later this year we will publish this research, and it would be my pleasure to provide it to NAASR library. So, I would like also to mention that internal processes in Azerbaijan allow the Azerbaijani leadership to prepare appropriate ground and to unleash a new war against Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia in the medium-term perspective, redirecting the public disappointment from serious domestic political problems to the external enemy, to the Armenian. So at the same time, there is no internal factors to prevent unleashing a new war in the region by Azerbaijan. The main external prevention factor is a military and political military balance in the zone of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, which is not allowed to Azerbaijan to reach a quick and guaranteed victory. Among other external factors, there might be the position of Russia, which initiated creation of quick response forces between the Common Security Treaty Organization. The threat of pipelines might be damaged, as well as some outline shifts in the Armenian-Turkish relations. So, now about Armenia. Oh, I'm very sorry. So, look at this map. The figures. These figures are from the territory, from the official website of the Nagorno-Karabakh president. So, look at this and look at this. Just compare these figures. So, now under the Armenian control is all these territories, Under Azerbaijani control, there is a few former Armenian villages. They are now occupied by Azerbaijani forces. There is no one Armenian there. And I will give you also the figures related to the total population of Armenians in Azerbaijan. Officially, Azerbaijani people say that official Azerbaijani statistics mentioned about 9,000-10,000. In reality, there is less than 3,000, and mainly women. They are old women married with Azerbaijani people. And their destiny is really dangerous. They had no passport, nothing. They cannot leave this country.